Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Politics is about interests, and it is those interests that normally change. In this analysis, I want us to look at the latest move by former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Okengo Matiangi. And in this video, I will take you through what could have been at the center of a fallout between the then Deputy President William Ruto and CS Matiangi when they were in cabinet. But then the latest move is the bombshell. In the Citizen Weekly, they have detailed a report on what exactly is happening. Interior CS Matiangi was emblem of raw power and rogue governance during Uhuru's second term. However, one thing I took from Matiangi is that you cannot doubt his competence. In every ministry he worked, he came in government back then in the first term, where he was in ICT. Then from ICT, he was taken to education at the height of exam cheating. And then from education, when Nkaiseri passed on in July 2017, suddenly he took over the Ministry of Interior and was holding the two ministries, Interior and Education. And so when Uhuru Kenyatta named his cabinet months later, he was taken to the Ministry of Interior. And Matiangi is one man that was very submissive to his boss. Maybe did that cost him? Do you think it's a bit wrong to be too submissive? The newspaper headline is saying, I am very sorry, Matiangi, to Ruto. And I'll take you through that article. It's on page 2 of that magazine. This is the man that helped President Uhuru Kenyatta after Ruto fallout. And in the first term, Ruto was in control of government, fully in control of government agendas and projects. In fact, analysts or other observers who that were in government in the first term said that he was all-powerful deputy president that called shots everywhere, both in government and even at the Jubilee Party. Remember the nominations that were conducted where Mount Kenya bigwigs were knocked out forever in the political scene. There have been, he was in charge of Jubilee Party. And Ruto is a man that knows what something called political elimination. Eliminating you from the political matrix. That is something that's a mantra I think he has. To some extent, it has worked. Others, it has really been criticized as not good. Upon Uhuru realizing that Ruto was on a campaign mission after 2017, he stopped him from launching projects. It's because there was one understanding that some of the projects that Deputy President then William Ruto were actually launching were not within the budget plan of the government. So most of them were done, and that's where the name Tangatanga came from, because President said that Ruto ndiye anatangatanga huku, so akikuja huku mtakuwa mnamwambia hizo vitu ananiambia. But then at one point I think he stopped William Ruto from inspecting those projects, and that was the start of that fallout. However, in coming to the last general election, UDA campaigned as opposition party to the government in the last general election and strongly blamed police, that police were working with supporting Raila Odinga. It's however true, and it turned out from the last general election that was just a claim. And that's why I said that incompetence, you should not doubt Matiangi. He came out in giving a speech and saying that, look here, you called us all sorts of names that we wanted to influence the election, but police really had a clean bill. They really played their neutral stand. If you ask me, a measure from our previous elections, police tried to play a neutral stand. I wanted to listen to these clips. I was just going through, just trying to peruse some of these, and I marked a few clips here that will show you, how exactly the fallout was, because it will help us to understand why finally Ruto, the move behind Matiangi to work with William Ruto. But listen to this.
150 billion for market women. I'll put aside 50 billion for boda boda. I'll put aside 100 billion for this. I know how much our budget is and the projected growth of our budget. That time you have not talked about the amount of money that you are taking to counties. You have not talked about transfers for the education sector and so on. Where are you going to get that money to provide that kind of service? You're just lying to those people because you are telling them things they want to hear. And because they won't ask you questions, you just get along with it.
Walisahau kusema ile biashara yangu ya kuku niliona wanaandika acreage. Sasa pale wangeandika iko kuku 200,000 na wangesema huyu mtu anauza mayai 150,000 every day, shilingi 1.5 million. Hiyo wangeweka namna hiyo. Alafu wangemalizia waende wa bank wajue wako na pesa ngapi na iko loan kiasi gani. Sasa ndio wangemalizia hapo kwa hiyo lifestyle audit. Si namna hiyo ndio ikawa mzuri. So wamejaribu, si mbaya.
So those who are making those claims, some of these sympathy seeking or sympathy craving, publicity stunts about my life is in danger and so on, police are after me, and these gentlemen have better things to do. And as I told you, if they have to go to look at somebody, they look at the threat profile. Where do you feature? If between number 1 and 600 you don't feature, why would a senior police officer spend time on you, honestly, and deploy police to look after you? You are not a threat to anybody. You are not a threat to anybody. If anything, you are a threat to yourself. So why would we now say you put police officers behind you and so on? So
is that the fallout between William Ruto and Matiangi was personal. It was totally personal. Huh? In a Citizen Daily newspaper, it's actually showing how things have changed. And Matiangi fell out with William Ruto on a number of issues. So this newspaper is saying that now lately, Matiangi has been meeting with UDA leaders from Abagusi, the elected leaders from Abagusi, also led by the Education Cabinet Secretary, Ezekiel Machogu. So Ezekiel Machogu took over from Magoha, who also took the ministry from Matiangi. And according to that article, I think I need to read that excerpt a bit. Yes, they're saying Matangi now claims he was forced by President, I think I need to read that. I'll also look now. Matangi, who only months ago behaved like he owned Kenya, has also held several meetings with Kisii MPs on Ruto's order to strategize on his defection to the ruling coalition. Those he has met include Kitutu Chache, North MP Japhet Nyakundi, Nyaribari Churches Zaria Jihanda, Bomachoge Churches Alpha Miruka, and South Mugirango's Silvanus Osoro. Sources revealed that part of the deal that will see Matiangi's United Progressive Party work with Kenya Kwanza on the cards. So that's what they're saying, that he's been meeting those leaders to strategize on his defection. However, one thing I have looked at that, and I'm saying that politicians who worked with President Ruto, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and Raila Odinga, when you are making these moves, it's good you're making a move for your own, maybe on your own interest, or maybe you're persuaded. But it's not politically decent to bury bridges, or rather, to just drag other people's names into it. This is what he's saying. One of the messages that or maybe the strategists behind that defection are looking at is Matiangi to claim publicly that he was being used by Uhuru to fight President Ruto's allies. And I'll give you why I don't buy a concept, the messaging that can get to the public that Uhuru Kenyatta used Matiangi to fight Ruto. It's not there. This is the point. One of the biggest points of fallout between William Ruto and CS Matiangi is that CS Matiangi took over the position of William Ruto. And what is at stake was actually government tenders. The clip you've listened to, Matiangi is talking about some tenders there. He's talking about a tender that was supposed to be given to so and is not given to so. I think you need to get that part of the tender here. And this is when President Ruto was talking about, he had said about IG, and Matiangi was responding about some issue on tender. I think that clip is equal here.
We have the most incompetent Inspector General of Police, I think, in the world. The most incompetent in the whole world.
So that is what happened. If you look at the fallout, it's something on some interest. Now I wanted to get this exit here. Yes. Now, Ruto and Matiangi also clashed over. They say talk was rife that Ruto and then CS were engaged in war and sideshows over the award of a tender for supply of blue police uniform. Ruto and Matiangi also clashed over a multi-billion shillings tender to supply arms to the armed forces. The police department had by then floated a 3 billion restricted tender for the weapons. Then Inspector General of Police Boynet had drafted a letter recommending that tender be awarded to a company in the Eastern Europe. It is said that Matiangi refused to sign and instead asked IG to provide minutes from the National Security Advisory Council and the National Security Council supporting the recommendation. Okay? So you see, this is something deep than what maybe we are consuming in the public. Let me tell you, what is happening is not out of the moon. And my position is Uhuru Kenyatta is in control. Why? Remember when Miguna was being brought back on 20th November, that is October, 6 days before that, on 14th October, cases that had been pressed against Uhuru Kenyatta's handlers, Matiangi, Kibicho, and other government officials were dropped. So do you want to tell me that Uhuru doesn't know? You know, and Matiangi was one man that, Miguna was one man that was talking about Matiangi and Uhuru Kenyatta all through his life. So that's why I'm saying that this would not, what we are seeing is something that is well crafted. And so from this, I just want to make very clear point here that Ruto wants to galvanize a Bagusi vote through Matiangi's party. There is a plan by UDA to form one coalition, one big party to be used in 2027. And if you read that article, part of the package that Matiangi is bringing to William Ruto is that UPA, United Progressive Alliance, I think is a party. So that party belongs to Matiangi, and it's the party that won Nyamira gubernatorial seat, even though in 2022 it was under Azimio Umoja. So it's equally, I think it's strongly a Nyamira party. And one aspect that is that, why do you think Matiangi? Ezekiel Machogu, Education CS, was Al-Mudavadi's nominee in the cabinet. He was actually a appointee of Machogu, of Mudavadi in the cabinet. Because before this election, he was vying to be Kisii governor, I think under ANC. Yes. He was ANC candidate for governor there. So that before he was called upon, prevailed upon to step down. So one thing you can actually, one observation you can make there is William Ruto wants to bring them together. Remember, in Kisii, the stalwart, the strongest politician so far now is Governor Arati. And Arati is a bulldozer, is a very serious politician. Apart from being a governor, is a very serious politician. Ezekiel Machogu comes in the fold, but is a bit calm and it's too honorable to play the politics. Actually, he's not so much of a strong politician. And Kisii is one area that William Ruto is struggling with. Even in 2017, when Uhuru Kenyatta got more votes there, it was not that much convincing. In 2022, there is something. And on every area, on political front, William Ruto would actually bring Matiangi in the fold to be the image of Abaguse. But Ruto Matiangi truce technically can also be hatched by the President Ruto to dismantle Uhuru Raila influence, or rather any political formation that they can have. Because now, I can tell you, we are 3 months, government has been formed, and it is not about the people. It is about how we can win 2027. The conversation has started. By the time we'll be getting to 2026, we'll be talking about who is going to become the next president, or whether William Ruto is going to get re-election. So Matangi can also technically be used there. On how about, I don't want to be so maybe boxed to only believe that it's only William Ruto. Matangi needs a product that William Ruto is selling and is auctioning it. It's called prosecution immunity. Matangi needs that product. He needs to buy that product, and William Ruto is selling it. It has been successfully sold to Gachagua. It has been successfully sold to Aisha Jumwa and many other clients. So that product is something that Matiangi wants to buy. I don't know. That what I mean is, before election, this is a man that was in the trappings of power, and there are a lot of deals. If you read that article, you read a lot of deals on dams and houses and offices and that. There are a lot of deals that were at play, and of course, people can always pull file after the other. I can look at it that Matangi would technically, even President Uhuru Kenyatta can push him that look here, to tame that revenge mission, you just need to work with President Ruto. The man who was in the security docket for long and was a member of National Security Council, William Ruto do not doubt the capacity of Matiangi and will bring Matiangi to help him solve security problems. Security problems are very sensitive because one, there is a high level of secrecy and mistrust. You need to have people that you trust and people that can have a high level of secrecy. So even though many people that Uhuru Kenyatta, that William Ruto is working with are greenhorns in those offices. And that's my position why Ruto might actually work with Matiangi. I don't know what's your take, but that's the end of our podcast. And let's meet in the next.